Italians love to live life. They love to eat, laugh, and be loud. They argue, but are fiercely loyal.
Your favorite nephew?
You are. My big nephew, my little nephew.
This is a story about a family that does all those things to live life. The times they spend together, and their wish to have more time. This is a story about the will to live. A story of family that has endured the test of time.
This is Scott when he was a baby. This is my mother who passed away. This is Joseph who passed away. And this is Nikki, who you met. And this is my niece, Lauren, who you'll meet.
Nicholas and Lucy Sands met in their Catholic church at the age of 17. They married 2 years later, and in 1957, Lucy gave birth to their first son, Nicky Jr. In 1959, they had their second son, Joseph. At the age of 3, Nicholas and Lucy sensed something was physically wrong with Joseph. Soon after, he was diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
No one really knew what muscular dystrophy was. As a matter of fact, my doctors diagnosed Joseph as having flat feet. Give me an idea.
Duchenne muscular dystrophy affects 1 in 3,500 live male births, and there are a few girls in there, and that's sort of an extraordinary case. It is a genetic disease. It's a progressive neuromuscular disease in which children are born looking quite normal. Typically what we see is boys with Duchenne lose the ability to walk in their early teens, usually lose the ability to move their arms in their late adolescence, and the mean age of death is around 29.
Joseph died in 1974, so we had 2 children with Duchenne muscular dystrophy at the time.
I'm the only son who survived this. I mean, I'm not affected. They were hoping they'd have a second son who wouldn't be affected either, and they knew it was a risk.
We prayed and prayed and prayed that Scott would not be afflicted with this condition. Unfortunately, he was.
Scott was born in 1966. As a little boy, he was perfectly normal for the first 5 years. Cute as a button. He played baseball. He ran.
As Scott grew up with Duchenne, he and his family made every effort to live life to the fullest. Even as his disease grew worse, he conquered high school.
He walked away with every major award the school has ever had in the history of the human resources school.
And proudly graduated from St. John's University with honors.
We've had a lot of ups and downs, as most families have. We come from humble background. Fortunately, I made enough to keep him alive all these years.
Most of this is pertaining to Scott. And all of this is Scott's medical records. Everything since he was born, we learned from Joseph. And this is all what I had to fight for with Medicaid and Medicare. And finally I won the battle. This you want to see. This is all Scott's medical equipment. This is the lift that brings him from the wall to Scott's bed.
The doctors said to us, if we don't perform a tracheotomy, he will certainly die within 24, 48 hours. That was almost 24 years ago. I said, Scott, did you hear? They said we're in his room at the time, his hospital room. And he said, he moved his eyes because he was all full of, he said, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. 'Cause 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 they don't know what
This is me with Governor Rockefeller and Kennedy, the Presidential Medal of Exchange. I founded this telethon with Jerry Lewis, Muscular. I didn't found the telethons. I founded Labor Day. I was the first chairman of the board of the Labor Day telethons.
I think what I see in the Sands family is this extraordinary love, right? I cannot speak for them and tell you that they all fell apart, but I'm guessing they all did. And just knowing that I met Nicholas down at Peter Laws in Tennessee about stem cells, I'm also guessing he was the one running around, frightened, looking for answers. I don't think Lucy has probably ever left Scott's side. I think she's the cornerstone of the family.
She's a great mother. She's a great mother. And she worries all the time about Scott, 24/7. And she listens to his every sound.
A friend of mine was very friendly with a bishop in the Diocese of New York, and he got us in to see to Shea Stadium that he knew the Pope was coming. And when he was about ready to leave, he went through the crowd and he saw Scott in the wheelchair. Scott was a chubby little thing, you know, and he came over to him and held his cheeks together and said, "You're going to be okay."
And the Pope said, "Are you the father?" You know, and my father said, "Woo, yeah." And then to my mother, "Are you the mother?" And my mother, "Woo." And then he said, "Don't worry, everything is going to be okay."
You will be okay. And I still say it's Pope John Paul that's helping him.
I thank God for giving Scott to us. I thank God. And we thank God. There's never a moment of anger. It's for a purpose. And our purpose is what we are.
So I think Scott is probably the lesson for all of us, that Scott's right here, right now, right? Scott's present, and he takes care of today, and he believes that he'll have tomorrow. I think that that's a magnificent way to treat life.
I had root canal surgery last week on one tooth, and I'm telling the whole world what pain I'm in, and I'm whining and whining. And then somebody said, "Hey, you know what? What you have, it's a mosquito bite compared to what your brother has." So Scott is a model of courage and strength. He has a stoic acceptance of what he has, and he deals with it. And he deals with it wonderfully.
He committed himself to help others with the condition. And he's been communicating with all the disabled people in the country and around the world in a very positive note. So he's able to express his feelings through, thank God, for email and Skype and all these other things, and through his blog.
Because they have children who are just coming up with this disease and they think it's, you know, they can't cope with it, but they read his blog, and he's gotten many, many letters and many notes from people all over the world. You know, he's an inspiration. He inspires them.
He physically types A, B, C, D, and he'll make a sentence out of it.
Over 4,000 miles away in Liverpool, England, a bright young woman, Rebecca Davies, was also searching for a way to connect with others. Though Duchenne is very rare in females, she had been recently diagnosed with the disease, facing her mortality every day.
So I read some of the blogs and I was like, wow, the guy's 46, do you know what I mean? Or 44 at the time. And I was like, wow, you know, this is amazing. I didn't make contact or anything, but I was finding inspiration from reading the blogs. If I was in the hospital, I would log on and just read the blog and I'd think, well, if this guy can do it, I can do it.
Isolated in their respective worlds, Rebecca and Scott developed a relationship through internet contact, a connection that grew over time. One night, during their daily Skype calls, Scott proposed to her, and she accepted.
He didn't give up, to be honest. And he was always just, I can't even put him into words. He amazed me because of his positivity again. But he didn't give up. I thought I might as well give him a chance. See where it got me.
I feel wonderful about him getting engaged. I am apprehensive to getting married because I don't know what the future will legally bring.
I was happy. Nick was a little bewildered because he was like, he didn't really know what was going on, you know? And when he bought the ring, he went out and bought that ring by himself. And he got engaged, you know. She sent him a ring too, you know. So I was very happy for him. Okay, so we're going to be on our way. We're only about 10 minutes from.
Rebecca wanted to be with Scott with all her heart.
You're going to be by the customs, right?
But the complications of her condition and the travel restrictions it caused was preventing it.
He's just getting ready now, so we'll be there shortly. Okay, I'm anxious to see you. All right, love you, honey. Bye, bye-bye, bye. Okay, she's there. She's got to go through customs yet. She just arrived and everything is fine. She had a good trip.
Eventually, their perseverance and diligence prevailed. She was now on her way.
This way.
Have they done like a Skype? Have they seen each other?
Yeah,
All the time.
Okay,
For
good.
years
All
they're
the
doing it.
time.
About a year and a
Okay.
half. Tom?
You okay? Are you okay? Yeah. Are you crying? Yeah. Oh goodness. I'm happy to see you. Oh goodness me.
How are you?
I'm good.
You look terrific. You don't even look like you on a flight that long.
I feel like crap. Hi, nice to meet you.
I saw her coming out of there and I just ran over to her and I got very emotional. She says, "Are you crying?" I said, "No, I'm not crying." She looked beautiful. After a trip like that, I thought she would look, you know, bad, but she looked great.
I saw pictures of her, and I've known her voice, and I know the way she speaks through the internet. And then when I saw her coming through customs, I knew then that they would be great for each other. I knew then.
Sorry. Yeah. Where am I actually going?
Straight up, straight.
I can't see with these glasses on.
Fine, go right a little bit.
And they defied all odds. Just, you know, a couple of months ago, you know, the doctors were disapproving it. There were so many obstacles in the way. And they were sort of, you know, resigning themselves to the idea that, oh, well, there's no way they're ever physically going to be together. And then Rebecca got into high gear, and my father made all kinds of arrangements.
Got the
Lisa,
big
you might
room.
need to come and join me.
I get here and there's no Scott. Just the big massive house. To be a girl with this disease is difficult because you're isolated, because nobody is like you, because it's not really usual to have.
There you go.
You're not happy.
He's not happy. Are you happy?
You're gonna start yelling.
happy.
He's gonna start crying.
Don't yell.
Oh.
Huh?
Don't
Is
yell.
that to you?
What?
Don't yell.
I'm not yelling.
Not yet.
I speak loudly.
Tell him
That's
if he
my-
starts yelling, you're gonna let him have it.
I just wanted to get here in one piece and not with very much fuss, just to arrive and be here with Scott.
Don't be scared. You talk talked to him for 2 years
I know,
already.
but I'm
She's fine.
Lucy.
All right. Don't worry. Here he is, Mr. Handsome.
Okay.
Look at her. I'm gonna cry. Look at that. Look at that.
I'm gonna cry.
You're too far. Come closer to her. Come in a little more.
I'll
Go
move
back
out
and
of the
go
way.
forward. Or he's gonna come in.
I'm just gonna break the wall. So.
Turn it around. Okay.
I can't believe this. I'm so nervous.
She's so nervous.
I'm shaking.
You want to hold hands?
You're gonna have to
Mine is too dark.
lift my hand to his. Sorry, it's sweating.
Mine has come dark.
It's
I can
sweating.
take
Sorry.
these.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
I can't stop laughing.
I want to run. I can't run.
Look at her. Huh?
I can't
No
run.
running.
It's important for him to express love to others. And he gives and she gives. They were made for each other. They're absolutely made for each other.
That's a Superman blanket that you sent him.
So you do use it then?
He uses it every night.
Okay, again. I've been to the bathroom. Hello. I'm here alive. Told you I wouldn't die. Don't underestimate me.
I saw him holding Rebecca's hand the other night. I can't tell you how it made me feel.
It's surreal. And I can't believe she's right here in my hand.
Scott's celebrating his 46th birthday, and he's really got the love of his life here from England, which I'm so happy it happened, because we were doubting it all along. We don't know whether she's going to be well enough to come here.
That our family is coming in, a little part of our family. We're a Sicilian background, and we have a lot of family. So those that could have come in, because they know how special it is for this day for us.
Scott sent me a note and said, I'd like you to come to my birthday. It was the best gift ever. And so, I knew Rebecca was coming, and because we had talked about different things about if she can make it on the plane and about the ventilation on the plane and how all that would come down. And so as soon as Scott invited me, I said I wouldn't miss it for the world.
These are my Pittsburgh cousins. They come all the way from Pittsburgh. Oh, see? Tell him what you did. Come all the way from Pittsburgh on Thursday.
It was a special occasion. It was wonderful.
I think this is just a God-given miracle that she actually got here and arrived in good health.
She's tried to come before, and she's gotten very sick, critical condition, and the doctors didn't want her to travel, and they told her it would jeopardize her life. They were so in love with each other that it didn't matter. She would risk her life to come, just to be with him.
It's getting late already, Arlene. That's why she came late. All this shit.
Lucy, would you help me a little bit?
Who's doing this?
Stop.
You stop.
Yeah, she pushes.
Rebecca, you want me to turn you off?
Yeah, please.
Or do you want this arm over?
Oh, good.
Here we go.
Take the strap off.
It's off.
Yeah.
His is off.
Mine.
She wants her seatbelt off.
I'll push like that.
Hi, how are you? I'm Nick. Another one.
This is another Nick.
Yankees win today? No? No?
I think he's a great person. He's a very intelligent person. He's very loving, and we all love Scott.
I think being in New York and being Italian, and growing up, I never gave up on anything, and if you're not tough, you'll die young. If I'm here now, you have to be tough.
The camera.
What camera?
No, this camera.
I'm not looking at that camera. Take the damn picture, come on.
I did, they were beautiful.
Opinion. And they're always here. And they always come in. And they don't knock.
I play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I keep my eyes on him all the time, because when Joseph passed away, he was 15. The nurse at the New York hospital took a coffee break, and she wasn't gone more than a few moments, and Joseph passed away.
When it comes, you have to deal with it. There's nothing else you can do either. Either deal with it, or give up. I'm dealing with it. And she's dealing with it.
I would love her to stay here, but you know, she's going to need help. And her girlfriend can't stay long. Only time can tell what's going to happen. You know?
You know, a lot of people will say to themselves or out loud that they, what's the use? And they give up. If you don't have faith, you don't have anything. So faith has played a very large part in our lives, very large.
Every night, I strike 2 matches, and Scott blows them out. And one is to celebrate he made another day, and the other is for Rebecca that she made another day.
Did not know that.
Every night, Rebecca, 2 matches are struck. One is for him and one is for you, and he blows them both out. Every night.
You're gonna be crying.
Rebecca was forced to return home for continuing care. But before she left, she and Scott married in a small, private ceremony. At her departure, she vowed to return to be with Scott forever. Shortly after, Scott's health worsened. Despite the physical distance, they remained in close contact as husband and wife. On July 31st, 2014, Scott's journey in this world was complete. After 47 years of courage and strength, pain and joy, Scott quietly passed away in his sleep. 6 weeks later, Rebecca joined him. Through their journey, they taught us all to live, to laugh, to learn, and to love.